There is little anyone can do when nature strikes with overwhelming force, as we saw in Spain this week. The death toll there has now passed 200, and it's believed that more bodies are yet to be found. In the face of such helplessness, the reaction from the people of Valencia was extraordinary today. Thousands headed into the worst affected areas with brooms, buckets, and questions over whether enough is being done by the government to help those who've lost everything.
An army on the march, citizens armed with brooms, mops, buckets, coming in their thousands to help the other half of this city get their lives back. It's a bank holiday here, the start of a long weekend, but all have abandoned plans so they can make the long walk into the mud and destruction.
You know people there?
Yes.
And how are they?
They are sad, they are without light, gas, water, nothing in their houses.
We have cancelled our plans, and yeah, we are here to support these people. That actually I think is a really nice idea.
We are the ones that are moving to help to clean, but the government is not doing much, I think.
The numbers here are extraordinary. We've been watching the steady flow of people come across this bridge for half an hour or more now, with no sign of it ending. It is driven, of course, by sympathy and concern for those so badly affected, but also by a widely held perception that the government and the local authorities have simply not done enough. They spread out into streets still awash with mud and debris. So many volunteers, you wonder if there'll be work enough for all of them, until you see satellite pictures that show just how far the torrents of water rip through this city. A massive brown stain spreading from the mountains down to the sea. Firefighters are still finding dozens of bodies, many under buildings. Tragically, people, believing they had time, went to get their cars from underground garages to save them from the water. Time was the one thing they did not have. On the streets this morning, it was the volunteer army doing the bulk of the work. Heavy equipment is being brought in, not least to begin removing the thousands of cars still blocking access. Regular army units and heavy construction crews are reported to be working, but there's scant evidence of them, to the disappointment of those now getting their hands dirty. Very dirty.
We need help. There is a lot of people in difficult situations. We need help.
Valencia is my city and I want to help the people in the city.
This is a big job.
I know.
On a shop window, written by hand in mud, a simple message to those who've come to their aid. The single word, gracias. Thank you. James Mates, News at 10, Valencia.
Well, for years now, extreme weather events like the floods in Spain have been accompanied by warnings about climate change. And scientists say the Mediterranean in particular could be vulnerable as our planet warms. Martin has been looking into all of this. And Martin, take us through it.
Well, Paul, weather is driven by differences in temperatures. The more extreme that difference, the higher the chance that we see more extreme weather. And what we're seeing in Spain at the moment is called DANA. Now, that's a phenomenon where cold air from the North Atlantic meets this warm, humid air from the Mediterranean, forcing the hot air to rise quickly and form enormous rain clouds, which can then get stuck. You then get scenes like this. Now, watch the clock. In the space of just a few minutes, this road was turned into a raging torrent. Now, some autumn flooding is normal, but experts say this sort of rain was twice as likely and 12% heavier because of global warming. And there's also a quirk of geography in the Mediterranean. That's because the Strait of Gibraltar is so narrow, not much water mixes into the Atlantic, and as a result we need to think of the Med more as, well, sort of a giant lake than the sea. And as a result, over the past 40 years, the Med, which you can see in this graph, has warmed twice as fast as the world's oceans. That's being driven by climate change, which has warmed Europe faster than any other continent. To such an extent, in August, we actually saw the hottest ever surface temperatures recorded, 28.47 degrees Celsius. And even today, surface temperatures are still a degree above average, with no way to cool other than through evaporation. The air is more humid because it's holding more evaporated water. And in the words of one meteorologist, the result, Paul, is that the Met is acting like a petrol can. That water vapour is what's feeding these huge rain clouds and is fueling that devastating flooding.